Good evening, all my friends. Welcome to yoga. Tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. Um, we're going to focus on some really easy, gentle stretching. Over the past 3 weeks, I've been getting some awesome feedback, so please continue that and please feel free to contact me anytime at all that you're having questions about something, you want to see something, you don't like something. That's how we make things better. And this is a work in progress, not just for me, but for everyone joining me, everyone involved. And I've been getting a lot of requests for a brief intro to some just everyday stretches that you can do if you don't want to break out into a full yoga routine. These are things you can do in a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's up to you. We're going to focus tonight, because there will be a few of these coming up, on just some stretches that you can do without any props, without any equipment, without any pillows, bolsters. So if you're at work, if you're traveling, if you're just really stressed out at home and you only have a couple minutes to unwind, these are some things that you can throw into your bag of tricks and really get some fluidity and flexibility back in your body. Okay, so we're going to start like always, and we're just going to take a couple minutes and do some deep breathing, because even if you only have 5 minutes to do stretches at any point in your day, I highly recommend taking a minute or two and just tune in with yourself and tune in with your breath, because that's what's going to lead you through, whether it be a 5 minute stretching routine or an hour-long yoga session. Okay, so get yourself into a simple cross-legged pose, however you're comfortable. Remember, this is not necessary. You can have your legs out here, it doesn't matter. All I want you to focus on right now is keeping that spine as straight as possible and aligned as possible. So I want you to think about your butt being your sitting bones planted firmly into the ground. From there, I want you to imagine each vertebrae in your spine all the way up to the back of the head in one line. So whatever curvatures or forward or backward or messed up things we have going on with our spines and our necks, for this practice, we're just going to pretend and imagine that they all are aligned, okay? We're going to let those shoulders roll back. Start to take a couple of deep breaths. You don't have to force it here. You don't want to hasten your breath, and you don't want to slow down your breath on purpose. When you're starting out especially, just be with your breath. Just let it be your guide and work with it. As you go along in your practice, you'll learn tips and tricks to kind of help slow down that breathing process so you get the most out of your inhales and exhales. But for right now, that's not our concern. It's just learning to be with the breath in each movement and in stillness. Right, so we're going to close the eyes. Each time you take a deep breath in, I want you to focus on it starting in the belly rather than up in the chest, which is what we're used to. The older we get, the more stressed out we get. We take shallow, short breaths from the chest. So we're going to reverse that, and we're going to bring it back down to the belly, because that's where it all begins, okay? So if it helps you to keep your hands on the belly during this process, just so you can feel it, go for it. I still do that to check in with my breath all the time, okay? So we're on each inhale, we're just going to let the belly expand, and then you'll feel your hands physically move out from the belly. On each exhale, I want you just to focus on bringing that everything out. So think of it as each inhale, you're bringing in clean, new air, new breath, new life, new focus, new positivity. On each exhale, you're letting go of any negativity, any pain, any harshness, any thing that's holding you back in any way, physically or mentally. And I want you just to take a minute here and just focus on that natural flow of the breath as it goes deep in the belly, up through the chest, the diaphragm, the rib cage, the throat, exhaling, and then taking that new breath deep back in. So let's just do 3 or 4 more of these at your own pace. And then when you're ready, we're going to start with one of the basic yoga stretches, or it's just a stretch to do anytime, okay? We're just going to inhale, bringing those arms all the way up, bringing the palms together, and I want you just to extend up through the fingertips. If it helps, you can take your thumbs and cross them. That helps, kind of give you a little bit more stability and room to grow. And then on the exhale, release. We're going to do a couple more of these. Inhale, arms up, palms together. If you want to hook those thumbs, you can. Reach up through the fingertips. Release. One more time. Inhale, arms up, palms together. Reaching up through those fingertips. And then exhale, release. Okay, we're going to do that same concept. We're just going to focus on each side. And I want you to keep in mind that when you're stretching, you're not just stretching, you're also opening, you're building strength, you're increasing your flexibility. So we're going to take those arms up. We're just going to take that left wrist in the right hand and stretch to the right. Now, as simplistic as this stretch is in nature, I want you to take it a step further. And the common tendency here is for this left side to lift up as we turn towards the right. But we don't want to do that. It's more important to keep your form and keep that left side grounded than it is to get down to the right side. That may never be achieved, and it doesn't need to be, okay? Opening. So the whole time you're in the stretch, I want you to be taking some nice inhales and exhales and just focusing on opening this entire left side of the body. All right. Back to center and release. Inhale those arms up. Take the right wrist gently in the left hand. This is not a movement of pulling or pressure or aggressiveness. This is a guiding movement. So we're just going to guide that right arm over to the left side. Again, anytime you feel your right knee or your right hip kind of start to come up, that's when you know you need to take it back, okay? And each day is going to be different. Each practice is going to be different. So don't judge yourself or put pressure on yourself. Just accept where you are today. Back to center. Release those arms. Now we're going to do a really good stretch for opening up the front of the hips and the hip flexors. We carry a lot of tension here, and a lot of emotional energy is held captive in our hips and in the hip flexors. So we're going to take a couple moments and really focus on not just opening up the hips and the hip flexors, but also getting a really good stretch for these inner thighs, the legs, the back, everything. So the first pose and stretch that we're going to do is a version of a cobbler's pose, which just means feet together, okay? We're going to let those hands rest on top of the ankles, and we're going to let the legs fall down as far as they can naturally. I don't want you stretching and grunting and forcing anything here. This is all a movement of gentleness and gracefulness, okay? We're working with our bodies, not against them. So when you gently hold on to the outside of those ankles, I want you to also be focusing on straightening that spine, lengthening through the spine, letting the shoulders roll back. We all have a tendency to keep the shoulders up at the ears. Tonight, we're going to let that go, okay? Bring those shoulders back down. On each inhale, I want you to focus on really going deeper into the stretch, and then on the exhale, allowing the body to follow that breath with its movement. So on the inhale here, breathe in. You're going to feel some tension in those inner thighs, probably in the back, maybe even in the shoulders. And then on the exhale, just let it go. And we're going to do 4 more of these deep breaths in this exact position at your own pace and with your own breath. And you'll begin to notice the more that you do this, the further your legs are going to naturally progress down towards the ground. Okay, it is a progression, it's a movement, it's not a cure or a miracle or a quick fix. We're working with our bodies to achieve the most flexibility and fluidity that we can. So go ahead and take a nice couple more deep breaths here. And then we're going to move on to the next version, keeping our feet in the same position. So the plantar sides of the feet are gently pressed together. You don't have to aggressively pretend like they're fighting each other. Just let them rest together. Hold on to the toes if you can. If this is too much for you, hold on to the ankles. It doesn't matter, okay? With this next stretch, we're going to be focusing on trying to let those legs relax, because right now what's happening in your body is that your legs, specifically the inner thighs, your hip flexors up in here, they're protecting you and they're not going to allow as much movement as you might like right away. So we're going to help the body out a little bit by holding on to either the toes or the ankles and just using your elbows and your arms here as a gentle guide for your shins. Now, if you're real flexible, you might come up here, placing the elbows into the knees, and that's fine. But if you're starting out, if you're feeling stiff or sore for whatever reason, gentle is the word here, okay? It's not a race. So we're just going to gently press down into those shins, into those calves, and you're going to feel that tension. It might, if it's too much, if it's too intense, come back up for a second and then come back down, because we're not racing a clock, okay? Take a couple more nice deep breaths here. And then come back up. A really good stretch now that we've kind of worked on the front of the hips and the hip flexors, which carry so much tension. We're going to focus on the spine, and we're also going to focus on that lower back, the quads or the back of the legs, and the glutes. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in, bring those arms overhead. On your exhale, go ahead and fold forward and just come to where you can. For some of you, this might be your toes. Some of you might extend further than the feet. Some of you might come to your quads, and that's okay. Wherever you are in the stretch is where you're supposed to be. That's what we're working on here. And each day is going to be different too, so don't get discouraged if you do these stretches every day and you feel like you're not making improvements, because you are. From here, all I want you to do is focus on planting those heels down and keeping the toes extended towards the ceiling, okay? For me tonight, I'm comfortable with my hands on my toes. I've been doing a lot of running lately, so I don't feel like pushing the flexibility of my spine any further. All right, if you feeling like you're flexible, hold on to the bottoms of those feet and so on and so forth. If you feel like that's really putting too much strain, stop here. If you need to, you can bend your knees and come to any level of this stretch as well. And we're just gonna hang out here for a couple more deep breaths. And you can learn to move and work with your breath here. So on each exhale, you're actually extending forward, you're deepening the stretch, you're allowing the body to relax more. And we're gonna slowly come back up. And since we did both sides at once, we're gonna isolate each side. So we're gonna bend that left leg in, keeping the right leg extended, that right heel planted, right toes up, the left leg extended to wherever it's comfortable. If that's up here or down here, it doesn't matter, okay? And you're gonna notice too a huge shift sometimes between your left and right sides, where one is extremely flexible and one is stiff as a board. So you'll learn just to work with that with your breath and not fight it, okay? We always carry more tension, more tightness in one side of our body than the other. So getting them completely balanced is probably not a realistic thing. It's balancing each side to their ability and to our body's ability and acceptance of that stretch. So keeping that left leg down, we're just gonna crawl down over that right leg. And again here, if you get to your knee and you start to feel a stretch or a strain, stop there. You have this whole extension of your leg to deepen the stretch, and you have every exhale to help you along with that. So if you feel comfortable starting down here, go for it. If you want more of a challenge at any point, you can work on extending that heel or pushing the heel towards the front and flexing the toes back. This is going to deepen that stretch in the calf muscles. It might also put a little strain under the back of your knee. So if you feel that happening, then you know it's time to back off. And just take some breaths here at the same time. Focus on releasing the weight to those shoulders. And then we're going to slowly come back up. And we're going to switch sides, doing that exact same thing, but usually with very different results. So my right side is not as flexible as my left tonight. So I'm going to just embrace the fact that this right knee is not going to be flat on the floor, but it might be tomorrow. So we're going to walk down over that left leg. Again, left heel planted, left toes pointing towards the sky. And once you get yourself into a comfortable stretch, and by comfortable stretch, I mean you're feeling it and you're feeling that gentle pull, that gentle movement, but you're not feeling a pain or a strain on that area. If either of those latter things happen, just walk yourself back up, take a breath, and then go back in, okay? And then we're going to slowly come back up. And we're going to move into a couple of reclined stretches that I have been getting a lot of requests for. These are great anytime you have any lower back pain or sciatic issues going on, which is that huge nerve system that runs down the lower of your back. Sometimes it shoots down through the glutes, through the legs, wraps around. So these are a couple of really good stretches to not only alleviate that pain and pressure from those areas, but also to give your spine a nice, gentle, and safe stretch. So go ahead and come down all the way onto the back. We're going to start with both knees on the floor, or both knees up, feet on the floor. And I want you just to take a second anytime you're doing any reclined stretches to just kind of center yourself and plant your body into the ground. Don't try to force anything here because the ground will support you. And we're just going to take the hands, let them rest on the belly. We're going to take a quick moment here just to focus on a nice deep inhale and exhale. And then we're going to extend that left leg out along the ground. And you want to try to keep that leg, and not just the left leg, but the entire left side of the body as grounded as you can into the floor. Bring that right knee in, take the arms and just gently squeeze that right knee towards the chest. And after a couple of breaths here, we're going to take that left hand over to the outside of the right leg. Let your right arm extend out and pull that right knee over the body towards the left. Now, depending on how much tightness and contraction you have in the glutes, in the lower back, in these hamstrings, you're going to either be able to go down far or stay up here or anywhere in between. And this is one of the stretches that you can practice for 5 minutes on each side if you want, or just one side at a time if there's just one side that's bothering you. Come back to center. We're going to gently pull that right knee back into the chest and then release. Then we're going to bring that left knee in, squeezing it gently in towards the chest. Then we're going to take that right hand, press it against the outside of that left knee, left arm goes to the ground, and right knee comes over towards that right side again, where you can feel a good stretch without strain. If you start to feel too much strain, ease back up and then come back in. And then come back to center. Let both feet rest on the floor. We're gonna end our stretching tonight with a kind of a reclined cobbler's pose that we did seated, but this increases the intensity a little bit while taking all of the pressure off of the spine, off of the neck. So we're gonna just walk those feet together. Let the knees drop open to the sides. And you can take your hands and gently press down on each thigh, right under that hip. You can keep the hands on the thighs and press them down. Or if you want to just use this as a reclining pose to help stretch and relax, let the hands rest on top of the belly. And this is an excellent place to practice your deep belly breathing. Inhaling, allowing that belly to expand and push the hands out. And exhale, allowing the belly to completely empty. And let's take one more nice deep breath here. And then we're going to bring the knees together. Bring both knees into the chest. Roll yourself up. Come back to a simple cross-legged pose. And I want to thank you for doing these lower body stretches tonight. We're going to be doing a few more of these the next couple of weeks, just popping up. Also, we'll be posting a couple videos on how to work with props, bolsters, pillows, straps, blocks, anything to help kind of ease and move into poses more effectively, more efficiently, without any harm. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy these stretches anytime you need a little tension relief. Thank you. Namaste.